Well, you know, I'm in a state of shock. It is late for me, and I'm a little bit tired, which is why I just don't have the energy right now to go buck wild. But it's been an interesting day. Super Tuesday has not been super for a lot of people, and that would include Jenk, because now look, this race is not over. It isn't over, but as it currently stands in the California House Primary, which is CA 25. Um, We're looking at, a surprise. I didn't even know this Mike Garcia guy who's leading right now. We have 12% reporting, almost 13%. And Jenk is in a distant fourth, trailing. He has almost 4% of the vote to Christy Smith's 34%. I would call that an insurmountable lead. Now, maybe, look, we're talking about 71 out of 555 precincts, 13,000 votes in total. So these are more manageable numbers than the national races. But this is, to put it mildly, a disastrous performance. And I had no idea because, I'm not some political wonk. I'm not sitting there, you know, hold on, hold on. I don't follow these types of things. And I don't know the minutia of local politics for congressional runs. So I was open to anything. I was like, yeah, maybe Cenk mobilized an army of people. Maybe he got volunteers out. Maybe he earned he spent $1 million. $1 million is a lot of money. You can make a lot of people do a lot of things for $1 million. Correct? Shane, are you in here?
Yeah, I'm here. I was just letting you
Yeah,
say
yeah.
what
No,
you
I'm
were
just
saying.
giving a little intro here because we're along for the ride here. Maybe there's a comeback. Maybe this is a Rocky Balboa type of scenario, but it's not looking good. Mm, there's an outside chance that Cenk is targeting what he calls the working class. He's targeting minorities, and maybe just the rich housewives have voted. But I doubt that's how this works. 71 precincts is probably spreads across a lot of this region, so it's not just one demographic. That is wishful thinking. And I'm going to hit the refresh here. Very exciting. I am sweating. I'm in a state of now. I think there's so much to say here. For starters, there's no guarantee this district goes blue. So from the look of it, it looks like it's going red because the top two go into a runoff, and right here, the top 2 out of 3 are Republicans. So if the Republicans consolidate that vote, it looks like this district will go back to being purple, which I guess there's probably a track record for that, considering that the prior Congresswoman, Katie Hill, was a Democrat and she left the office in shame in a sexual scandal, kind of like Bill Clinton. What happened after Bill Clinton? Who do we get? George Bush. And part of that was the idea that let's get back to like a cowboy, a nice Texan. He's got a good family name. His dad was president. He's not going to fuck around on his wife, and I don't think he ever did actually, or at least it never came out. His wife was a cutie patootie. Uh, so these results will trickle in over the course of the evening. Cenk is away from the office. I believe he's in Palmdale. He's at a sort of bar watching results come in. And I'd imagine right now, Cenk's a math guy. He's not high on his own supply to the degree where he's not going to understand what these numbers mean. And I find it interesting that forget Christy Smith. He spent all of his time attacking Christy Smith, and it's like the two Republicans are beating you. So I guess they assumed one Republican would beat him, but not two. So we're going to see what kind of an uptick we get here from 12.7. I mean, maybe we can assume 24, 25% on the next go round. So I am, part of me is not that shocked. I mean, I think this is an internet famous person trying to parlay their internet fame into real life. And there is still a gap. I mean, you can get lost in numbers. There are people that have a lot of numbers, and it seems like that's the entirety of the world. I got thousands of people. And Cenk, you got millions of people. but they're spread out around the world and they've dwindled, and your business is not even profitable. The guy is currently, right now, asking for $200,000 to be donated to TYT every month for the next 10 months. I mean, is that the biggest pipe dream you've ever heard? So he's calculated in his mind, if I get $2 million going, well, I think we could fund this thing and keep it going. They're making no money. They're cutting deals. They got pyramid schemes going. They're trying to have you sell their memberships and give you a piece of the profit. This is like internet marketing. This is not sustainable. And Jenk busting up the unions. So it's bad, man. This is a really bad day for Jenk overall. Super Tuesday has, I mean, it's Biden's day. I don't know how else you can look at this day. Uh, right now, the delegate count is 327 to 218, and we're already starting California as a part of that. So if Biden can cut into whatever Bernie's win in California is going to be, um, that's going to hurt him. Same with Elizabeth Warren. See, the thing is, Warren still is in there, and so is Bloomberg, but they take away votes from both those candidates. It'll be interesting. I doubt they would stay in longer. After this is just an insane exercise in wasting money. Of course, Bloomberg has more money to waste. Now, I am, as you know, I was an Andrew Yang guy. I'm an Obama Democrat. That's becoming more apparent to me as time goes by that our party is not the Obama Democratic Party. We are a mess. We're in a mess, and it's a civil war. And yeah, it's a big day for Trump because he's looking at this. There's zero unity, zero positive energy, and it didn't have to be that way. You could have had a messianic figure come around like an Obama, where people were excited and oh my God, hope and change in the future. And here's our guy. This is the dude. And instead, we're going to put in a geriatric dude who's mistaking his wife for his sister. And that's there's no enthusiasm to be had there. This man has been in office for 100 years, and there's nothing new here, and it's not exciting. It's not fresh. It's it's lame, and I'm indifferent to it. So, if you want to get technical, if you want to be an adult about it and say, okay, well, look, if you have two choices and it's Bernie and Biden, who do you agree with more? And it's Biden. But it's not like it's no, it's not a enthusiastic um, endorsement from me, and I think a lot of people feel that way. Apparently, blacks don't. Apparently, the blacks are loving this dude. Let me hit the refresh on this puppy. So let's think about how he could pivot on this. We're still at 12%. A dude named Getro Elise has 42 votes, which is his extended family, if that's a woman or a man. So 4%, the thing is, the problem is he has called his shot, and he said, we're going to win this. This is a big year. This is Bernie's year. This is the progressive revolution. And I helped AOC. I created the Justice Democrats. I got in all these people. If they can do it, I can do it. I am the mastermind. I'm the puppeteer. I know what I'm doing. Trust me. I second guess everyone. I Monday morning quarterback everyone. You're about to see how it's done. If you want to get something done, you got to do it yourself. So he puts everything into this. He calls on every favor. He raises over $1 million. He spends it all. Chintzy ass commercials. He's flying in volunteers from Australia. It's desperate. It came across as desperate. He went on a negative attack on Christy Smith, which apparently didn't put a dent in it. How funny would it be is I get a refresh and it's like Jank, 80% of the vote. I'm just like, oh my God. I would abort. I'd just be like, end stream, end stream. So let's analyze. He hasn't broken 1,000 yet. And Christy Smith is at 4,700. She's literally 71 votes off the lead. But it's really not that important. She has to gain distance on Steve Knight, which would knock her out of the top two. And I guess you have a few more months and more campaigning. And look, she has the whole Democratic establishment behind her, power players in this election or in politics. And so that can work to her favor. And she's competitive. She will be competitive. But it doesn't matter. We're here to discuss Keek and his failure. It is monumental. He will be mad. He was mad before he left tonight to go to Palmdale. He probably knew the writing was on the wall. And I think he was too far into it. In other words, he'd already raised a bunch of money. Imagine if you had raised $1 million and had made all these promises and all these big speeches and oh my God, I'm gonna do it. I'm the guy. I'm an immigrant. I'm an outsider. You're a carpetbagger, and they don't like those guys. Your negative attacks did not work. Your bluster did not work. He said, I raised just as much money as Christy Smith, even though he didn't, and that means I should be the front runner. He went around on TV shows going, why am I not the front runner? Now, maybe it was a blessing in disguise or vice versa that there was no polling here. Because if there were to have been polling, he would have seen, holy shit, I am way behind. I'm a guy not from this district. I've never held political office, so I don't really know what I'm doing. And I'm coming in just saying everyone's corrupt. Apparently, that's just not a good look. No one's into it. We just, it's retarded, man. It didn't work. So what is he going to do? He's going to get back onto TYT. He's going to pipe his way in on Skype. And let me keep abreast. I got to see. I'm going to see what they're doing on TYT real quick. Oh, Aida is on, the black Latino girl. It's funny. They got 36,000 people watching on TYT. Hassan has 26,000. Hassan fucking Piker. Who the hell is watching that? And he's pissed. They're all pissed. They're just going over the numbers. California, it's showing Sanders only up 4.6%, which will change. That's after 4% of the vote. Um, Actually, who is in second place? Yeah, Bloomberg's in second place at 21%. What the fuck? Bloomberg. Wow. Either way, it's taking delegates away. So that's rough for Bernie. He's going to gain some distance, but it's not that much. Right now, he's at 25% in California to Biden's 17%. And Elizabeth Warren, she's putting her beak in there at 11%. So how can he spin this? He's going to say, look, we had a good showing. He might try to spin it like that. Or he comes out and says, look, we got slaughtered. I don't know what I'm doing. I can't imagine saying that. He'll say it's rigged. They're all corrupt. It's backroom deals. It's money. It's money in politics. Christy Smith is Satan incarnate. And his whole thing was regressives can win in a purple district. No, they can't. We can barely get a normal Democrat to win. It's going to be tooth and nail to get that to happen. So his theory is absolutely wrong. And Ben Mankiewicz tonight said on TYT, he said, Cenk, you're wrong all the time, dude. Cenk's like, oh no, I predict things. I predict things 1,000% better than any other pundit on TV. And he's like, no, I've been sitting next to you year after year. You make wrong predictions all the time. Tonight he said, Bernie Sanders winning this. He's winning it. He goes, trust me. He says Biden is senile. And he was angry. He was almost like as if he was trying to will it into existence. It was kind of sad. Has not cracked for 543. There's been more people at his rallies. I mean, he's been at restaurants and bars that had 100 people. Did they not vote? Are they not from the area? Damn. Talk about a lack of persuasion. How to win friends and influence people? I guess he hasn't read the book. I'm looking at a picture here on my Photoshop, and it's maybe I'll post it up. It is Cenk in his fat body wearing a T-shirt, and the T-shirt says "Progressives versus Everybody," and it's interesting because he wears it with pride, and I'm trying to figure out why. Here, like that's a terrible strategy. So if you're on the far left and you just see part of what they were trying to do is take over the Democratic Party, but it was a hostile takeover. And he's proud it's a hostile takeover. He says, yeah, who cares? And what you do is you create enemies and you just don't have the numbers. So, we're not in your bubble right now. We're not in your little cave where you can high five and say, we're going to do this and we're going to do that. And here's how it should happen. Here's this and that. No, this is election day and the votes are just painful. They're stark. And the North remembers, man, the California 25 is not having you. He might claim racism. He might claim, a lack of name recognition. Although I just saw him do a video where he goes, he said it like this. He goes, I was going door to door and I I knocked on a door and I'm canvassing. I'm trying to get people to vote for me. And the guy opens the door and he looks at me and he goes, "You're Cenk Uygur from TYT." And he pauses, he looked at the camera and he goes, "People are recognizing me. Uh-oh. The establishment doesn't know what they got coming." And on election night, he's going to read an article to us. Some article that some guy wrote him off, some smug reporter said, whatever with this progressive movement. Cenk Uygur is a TV show host, he's a radical. And he was going to read that in glory. He really thought he was going to win. Now, I mean, how many degrees of magnitude are we away from him winning this? What's respectable at this point? I mean, he would have to come up crazily. And I'll be honest, the next time this updates, I'm not going to pull my punches. I'm not going to sugarcoat. If the guy makes a move north, I'll be the first to tell you. But he's got to catch number 3, Steve Knight, and Christy Smith is lapping him. Okay, let's see. What is that actually? 4,704 and 2. If we do a calculator, there's no way I'm doing that in my head. Divide that by 543. And the answer is 8.6 times. 8.6 times as many people. And now, in retrospect, think of the debate between Cenk and Christie. Think of Christie refusing to have these little one-off debates that Cenk was challenging her. Debate me, bro. You're scared of me because, the people are behind me. And she's like, what? Get out. Like, I don't even be gone. So I feel like this is a political career killer. Even though, Joe Biden, he's run for office in 88, he ran in 2008. The guy just keeps going. I mean, third time's the charm, I guess. But there's no other office for him to run for. I mean, there's also that. He could do another failed $1 million he wasted. He wasted that. And he's dude is bitching about the homeless and whatnot. Imagine if he had said, you know what? I have a pipe dream because I want to be the new AOC. I'm going to raise $1 million, but instead I'm going to use it to help the homeless. Let's feed the homeless. You could feed a lot of people with $1 million. And he raised more than 1 million. And it's all a total waste. And if he goes live, I will. Holy shit. Okay, let's go over. No, no, no. They're in commercial. Okay, if he comes back on, I'm sliding over there because it's a bit of a shit show over at TYT right now. They're pissed. Ben Mankiewicz is sitting there going, "I told you guys." He was a Elizabeth Warren fan, and he's not regressive like the other people there, which is hysterical. So Cenk is going to slink back into this studio and have to speak. He has to address this. So there's no more ethical conflict of interest. He can now speak about what happened in his campaign and take predictions. Let me engage the chat. You tell me, what do you think his excuse will be? I'm saying, hold on, let me get rid of this. Let's get up Keek. Fuck Keek. Where's my fuck Keek? There it is. Okay, I don't want that. It's white on white. We can't have it. He's going to say it was a miscount. He said his name was on the third page.
Yeah, he's going to complain about the ballots. He's going to say it was corruption, corporate money that she accepted that gave her an advantage, things like that.
Oh my God, Adam Baum is in the house, and thank you. Wow, I didn't know you were out there. He's in the 25th district. The establishment is too right wing. Right. So I wonder how much personal accountability he will take. Is it possible for him to acknowledge that people don't like him? And Anna Kasparian was having an argument with Ben Mankiewicz tonight, and it was very telling because Ben was explaining people don't like Bernie. They don't like his attitude, he's crotchety, he's sort of yelling, and he's not being received well by large sections of our country. And she's like, yeah, but it doesn't matter. It's policy. His policies are right. Now, she's dumb and wrong on 2 points. For starters, his policies are not right. It's not like you can't disagree with Bernie Sanders. I mean, they act like there's no legitimate disagreement to be had with Bernie Sanders. And if you don't like him, then there's something deeply wrong with you, or you're ignorant. You just haven't taken the time to study. There is no disagreeing with the man. But more than policy, I would say, oh, what do you think on this? I'd say likability is as important as any policy, especially for the low information casual voter, which makes up the majority of people in the country. And that's why I remember a perfect example: Al Gore, George Bush, George W. At that time, I was not interested in politics. I could care less, but it was in the news and I knew that there was a thing going on. But I didn't study policy. I wasn't reading websites. I could care less. But I knew that George W. Bush was a fun guy, looked like he, was a party guy. He was into sports. He was a cowboy. He had a funny laugh. He seemed like a cool guy. And Al Gore seemed like a principal. He seemed like a robotic statue doofus. Sounds like a doofus. He's kind of a dad. He's just like a. Ugh. So the question, who do you want to get a drink with? The answer is George W. Bush. And in a tight race, when it's like, you know, I feel like back then things weren't as crazy as they are now, but it was very tight. And I think it was personality that pushed George W. Bush over the top, even though he didn't win the popular vote. And so they act shocked and horrified that we could even say that about Bernie Sanders. I mean, Joe Biden, this is one of the things he has going for him. The guy's older than dirt. His policies don't excite, I mean, definitely don't excite the far left. They think he's they think he's a right winger compared to them. In fact, tonight somebody said if Joe Biden is the pick for the Democrats, he will be the most progressive candidate ever put forward, which I believe is true. People freaked out because, like, no, 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 he's not even progressive at all. Our guy's the real progressive, but yeah, still, it's still the case. All right, we are still at 12.79% reporting, and a significant amount of time has elapsed. So let me check on another site here just to make sure we're not missing anything. Checking in on the New York Times, and they are lagging. I'm not getting anything. And I do want to see a imagine Cenk doing a concession speech tonight. It's like he got fourth place, distant fourth, and he's like, "Congratulations to Christy Smith." See, the normal sane thing to do for him right now would be to rally his supporters and say, "You got to vote for Christy Smith." But in his mind, this is the ultimate act of cuckery and simping because it will be like Ted Cruz working the phones for Trump because he's been going after Christy Smith is a bitch. She takes money. She's horrible. She's corrupt. She's awful. Um, yeah, and yet his principles would mandate that he tell his fans to vote for Christy Smith. Maybe he'll do it in a couple weeks. I doubt he'll have the ability to do it tonight. He couldn't possibly stomach it. All right, let's try to. I'm going to try to. Hold on. I'm going to bring up the TYT stream. What are your thoughts?
After a bunch of his attacks against Christy Smith, it'd be really hard and difficult for him to properly back her without being seen as, going back on some of the things he said
Oh
concerning
yeah,
things
yeah,
like
and
that.
basically it's failing your own purity test. So he gambled on himself, and he has lost in a massive way. And I know that these dudes are watching all these stats like a hawk, so they must know that their boss lost.
Out to the polls then.
So let's listen.
Yeah, it's
Can you hear that?
it's disheartening, especially when you
Yeah.
consider.
Look at Ben Mankiewicz.
To show you guys, this is the video that I was talking about earlier. This is the Biden gaffe that I think among all the other gaffes, this was the one that was like the most jarring for me personally. Take a look, and you, Ben, pay close attention.
All right, good.
This is fantastic.
We hold these truths to be self-evident. All men and women created by go. You know the thing.
What is it? All men and women created equal?
By God and by God.
Right.
This the thing.
This is the same mess up that Ben Affleck had when he was talking to Sam Harris, where it's not a senile moment. He didn't want to mention God talk because he's not a religious freak. So Ben Affleck said the same thing. He said, "Yeah, like all men are created equal under the creator." There's some reference to a creator, and it trips them up because they're like, I'm not here to recite a Bible phrase to this audience because the actual language is kind of fucked up. In fact, Biden said all men and women are created equal. Like, no, women are not in there. So he's ad-libbing this thing. But it's not a gaffe. And the whole thing of him messing up his sister and his wife, they had swapped sides. So his wife was on one side. He's talking to a million people, and he senses a presence to his left and right, and he didn't realize they had switched sides. And so it's not like he's fucking his sister. But look at Anna. They immediately pivot. So I guess Pete Buttigieg is out. Before she was ripping on Yang when he was a threat, ripping on Buttigieg when he was a threat and winning stuff in Iowa, and now instantly, oh my, they're shitting on Warren, even though they agree with Warren 99% on everything. And now it's okay, fuck Biden, and it's going to be full on fuck Biden. They're even doing fuck Hillary stuff. They did fuck Hillary tonight, which I found interesting. And I was like, I don't want to be one of those people that just say fuck Hillary ad nauseum, but fuck Hillary. Because Hillary had said something that Bernie is kind of I don't know, he's running a shit campaign or something. And they're like, God, that fucking Hillary. So all of their Hillary hate is just going to go right into Biden. Same stuff. Biden's too old. Biden's a lunatic. Biden can't win. Biden's policies are shit.
Biden's too old, but support Sanders when how long ago, how many months ago did he have a heart attack? Wasn't it back in, I want to say November, somewhere in that span?
Well, they're worrying about his mental acuity, his agility, his ability to express himself, really. It's a little bit troubling. And look, I was mentioning tonight, I don't think people should run for this if they're in their 70s. I think that's a very reasonable request.
Yeah, maybe Biden will challenge Anna to a push-up contest.
Yeah, the job is too important. The experience you gain, the wisdom you gain from 65 to 70 is not some earth-shattering thing. If you haven't figured it out by 65, it's like, come on. So let's limit it. You got to be under 66 to run and over 35.
I would like to see more people between Gabbard and Buttigieg's age. Buttigieg.
I like how'd you pronounce it?
Buttigieg.
Buttigieg. Wow, that's a new one.
Oh yeah, well, I mean, it's a very different last name. Never heard it until he was running. But I would prefer more candidates on both sides to be around those ages instead of having people in their 70s from all sides running. Because, like you said, it's like you need both physical and mental health. It's one of the most stressful jobs on the planet. We've all seen the pictures of a president before and after their presidencies, and it looks like they aged 30 years, not 4 or 8 years afterwards. And I'm not completely confident that Sanders is in the best of health, considering the heart condition and considering those. At a certain time, it's either the rate of another heart attack is going to go drastically down, or it's going to stay at about 30%.
Yeah, and one other thing I think we should mandate is you have to have 2 legs to run.
Well, I'm going to have to disagree with that because, as we all know, there was a cripple that had 4 terms and was one of the best presidents in U.S. history.
Yeah, but we didn't know he was a cripple. He was lying to us. Our boy Shane here has 1 leg, in case you guys don't know. I just outed his leg situation. You've been leg doxed, and I apologize.
It's fine.
When they care about exploration and learning, not about personal profit and gain.
Jenks said he was calling in to the show. So I am fascinated to see what he says. Will he be sheepish? Will he be angry? Will he be dejected? Will he be irate? Any of those things is possible because it's not just that he lost his personal quest for glory and he's falling flat on his face. I mean, to the point of like, this is an ass kicking. This is like never come back. This is Tyson Fury, Deontay Wilder too. So, and on top of that, that's not even mentioning that Bernie took an ass kicking tonight. And there's high doubt now that Bernie's going to be the pick. I mean, tomorrow, I'd be interested. What are the next states coming up? Do you know? There's not that many states left, really. I mean, I guess we have a lot of states, but still, Florida and all that, Ohio and Pennsylvania.
Florida's going to be important.
But Joe Biden does well in the Rust Belt. This is his wheelhouse. Those are his people. He does well all up in that area. So he's going to be competitive. throughout. And I mean, Bernie's going to take Oregon? They're a bunch of hippies, right? Washington State
Yeah,
probably.
he'll get a lot of people on the West Coast, but like for instance, March 10th, Idaho, Michigan, Mississippi, Missouri, North Dakota, and Washington. A lot of that would go to Biden, I think.
But if Bloomberg drops out, which I would imagine is likely,
I honestly don't think he's going to drop out because as long as he is quote unquote running, he's allowed to spend unlimited money and he isn't bogged down by campaign finance laws. So he might stay in just to constantly post negative ads towards Trump,
just
while
go
not
down.
attacking who he thinks is going to win, as trying to help the DNC and being able to use that money without being subjugated to the rules of campaign finance law, since he's actually paying out of pocket for quote unquote his own candidacy.
Hey, do you think that
Tom Steyer did that too?
Do you think that I'm too cocky posting memes about Cenk losing when we're only 12% in?
No, I think you're good with that. I think it's undoubtable that Cenk's going to lose. I think the Republican will actually probably do pretty good against Christy Smith, considering it's a purple district. And I looked up their endorsements and some of their backgrounds. Garcia has a lot of the endorsements, including some Democratic endorsements.
Oh, really?
And I also seen that, like, the other guy, I think it was Steve Knight, he held a seat before Katie Hill. So that's probably why he's in the double digits, is people that know him previously from holding the seat. I don't know why he lost the second re-election, because I'm not from California. I'm not familiar with that district and its local politics, but that's just
the second
stuff.
I mean, the second that it comes down to a two-man race, then Steve Knight would probably endorse Garcia.
Oh yeah, and then they'll have their runoff where it's just going to end up being Christie versus Garcia, and you know, Garcia stands a decent chance, and so does Christie. She seems very capable and professional. I don't know Garcia's background though.
Yeah, neither do I. But the point is, we're here for the trash fire of Cenk's career in politics, blowing up in his face. And outside of that, who follows any congressional race? I mean, it's maybe
aside from maybe your own local races that you've actually voted in yourself as.
Yeah, unless you have some vested interest, I can't even imagine being interested in it to that degree. So here's a meme I created. This is Christy Smith explaining to Cenk how voting works, and it's just uploading right now. So that's a painful realization when.
I like that the ISIS flag's in the background of that meme.
Oh, is it really? Nice, good catch.
In red.
Good eye. All right, let's listen to what the TYT is talking about.
An unbelievable blowout, because she has 56% and he has 44%. He's crushed, right? 60 million people still would have voted for him, right?
Yeah.
And we wouldn't be talking about it or paying attention to it or aware of it. So to me, if there is anything good about it, and you're desperately clinging to something, is that at least like, okay,
hold on,
this is who we are.
Update has come in. I gotta break this off to you. It's still saying 12.79% reporting, but the numbers have changed drastically. And they have a new person in the lead. Someone has screeched to the top with 14,000 votes. And that person is Christy Smith, the Democrat. 31.97, almost 32% of the vote. Mike Garcia slips into second place at 13,000 votes. Cenk Uygur
got another 1,500 votes, so he's not sitting at 500 anymore.
Cenk Uygur has climbed up. He was at less than 4%. He's now at 4.49%, and he has 2,000 votes. So Christy Smith has 14,000 votes. Cenk has 2. She has 14,548. Let me screenshot this, and I will post it up for you in case you don't believe me. That is huge. And now, are you willing to call it?
Oh, I'm willing to call it. The top two looks like it's going to be Smith and Garcia.
But this is, oh my God. Okay, I'm gonna. Oh my God, Young Turks have to know this right now. They don't act shocked though. I think they knew this was coming.
They might have had some kind of internal indications through.
Look at this. Look at that. Read that and weep right now. That is unreal. I mean, seriously, consider the amount of effort this man put in and his confidence. He was saying, I'm going to win this race. This is a 2-horse race between me and Christy Smith. And to his credit, he is the second Democrat. So if you just remove the Republicans, he's in second place. He's actually not that far ahead of Ortega, who's nipping at his heels with 3.25%.
That'll be great if Ortega overtakes him.
Oh, that would devastate. I don't see him recovering from that. So Christy Smith right now has got to be, and somebody check Twitter. Can you check Twitter? Just check the CA25. I got to see if there's any tasty posts because, oh my God, this is going to be unreal. Okay, here, I didn't expect Cenk to win, but I thought he would do much better. I knew it would be an Icarus moment for him. What's an Icarus moment mean? His ego took a massive hit tonight. Yeah, it did. Yes, it did. Okay. Wow. Some guy wrote in CA25 primary update. I'm only losing to Cenk by 543 votes, which means he's not even running. Ouch. Oh man, maybe it's so sad and disastrous that he's not going to call in. Maybe it's, but he wants to call in to comment, so he can't resist the urge to comment on the national stage. And they still have, how many viewers does TYT have right now? I can't even see. 35,000. So 35,000, I don't think he can resist it.
There aren't a lot of perfect places. It's hard, and I'm not sure that the things that are wrong with us aren't wrong with other places. That doesn't mean we should dismiss it. But like, people are awful, right? I mean, they're, and I knew it. I grew up in a family that talked about it all the time. But I remember sitting, JR was in that seat. It might have been a different studio, and we were talking about getting pulled over driving while black, right? And I'm saying something pithy and pointless, and
okay, hold on.
And I say to JR, if I'm remembering,
can you keep an eye on that YouTube with TYT in case Cenk comes on?
Yeah, I'll keep an eye on it.
Yeah, good. Because I can't really miss it. It is must-watch television. Oh, I feel vindicated. I feel relieved.
I don't think he'll comment on his own race. I think he'll talk about the national, and you'll hear some shakiness in his voice. But I think he'll try to avoid if he can.
I think he has to. There's no way he can't. I mean, he's been working on this for months, and he knows now that it has resulted in a colossal failure. And by the way, he owes all these people apologies. He's not going to give them, but it's like, hey, you motherfucker, talking shit, fucking mad shit, in a desperate scramble to try to gain personal power. Get out of our district. Oh, does anyone want to place bets that Cenk is going to buy a house in the Antelope Valley now? You think that's still happening? You think he wants to commute an hour to friggin' work every day?
I mean, he doesn't even have the ability to vote in that district, and he's running there. It's pretty much textbook carpetbagging.
Awful. So right now, between Christy Smith and Cenk, it is 32% to 4.5%. She's lapped him 7 times. Okay. Now, let me white knight Cenk for a second. Cenk has troubles. He has problems. He has stress. His company is not doing well. His political candidate is not doing well. His political campaign was a massive failure. Everything he's built is sort of in limbo or dying a slow death. But the man still has millions of dollars. Maybe not liquid, but he has a nice life. He has a nice house. He has a family. He's got kids. He's got a good job. So the guy is. You really shouldn't feel bad for Cenk. He really thinks very highly of himself. And I honestly, this is not just a personal vendetta I have for him. I think he is a figurehead for some of the worst ideas out there. I think he's a really wretched man. I think he's proven it time and time again. His character, his willingness to be a hypocrite, to lie, to obscure, to twist, to contort, to lie by omission. to spit vitriol, hate, and hatred, to miss the point. The guy is not good at what he claims to be good at. And that's on top of policy disagreements. That's just him and his character. I just don't like the man. And maybe some of you are wondering, you're not on the left like I am. And first of all, I'm not even like rah political guy. My interests lie elsewhere. I don't do this for fun. It's theater, basically, and it's pop culture. But politics is boring. It should be boring. You notice that we're not going around, oh, who's the superintendent of the whatever, or who's the district attorney, or who's the principal of the school district of the, nobody cares, nobody knows. We're doing our own thing. So for me, it's more a way, like almost like a Shakespearean drama, seeing people succumb to the 7 deadly sins, one after another. And Cenk is no better. And this was a power grab. This was it. He said, end times. This is the final straw. We have to win now or else. And that applies to Bernie, and that applies to him as well. Grimlock 2020. Grimlock 2020 might be too soon. I'm sure Grimlock has some offspring. The guy was like,
oh, positive. He might not know they exist, but they're there.
Oh my God. Oh, hold on. They're doing some Cenk hype here.
See, everyone is here. All these folks paid with their own money and sometimes took vacation days to come here.
Before they cut to this commercial, that they are looking forward to Cenk calling in soon to comment on his own.
Seriously? They said that?
She kind of said it with a question tone in her voice.
Okay, that's amazing.
Her inflection was lifting up a little bit with a little shoulder shrug.
We're watching. It's happening.
But maybe it'll be after this commercial, but she is mentioning it. They're not like downplaying it.
Well, look, that was the plan. And so they had to account for the fact that he might lose. I don't think he was prepared to lose this badly. I think if he had gotten within arm's reach of the top, I think it would have inspired him, and he would have said, you know what, I can do this. I need a little more time, a little more organization. I can use my big ass platform to garner more support, and we're going to make it happen. Meanwhile, you know what they're doing? I haven't done a video on it yet. I don't think, or maybe I did one. This TYT Academy.
Yeah, you did one on that.
Right. So YouTube is funding them with hundreds of thousands of dollars, and they're going to roll that out. That's not even out yet. It's a hot mess, and it's pointless. It's just like rinky-dink little videos. Here's a tutorial. Here's how you make a political sign. Here's how you use Facebook. It's just like, but they're trying to pretend that they're teaching how to be a journalist in the digital age. Now, they're not that. So, like, already off the bat, it's like, hey, I'm taking scuba lessons. From who? That homeless dude. Does he know how to scuba? No, but he says he does. Okay. That's not going to go well. But they are trying to get a bunch of their little millennial scrubs to go out and do their dirty work. Sort of like the flying monkeys, kind of. They want, to extend their power, but they're pretending like it's all objective and it's just journalism. It's just the facts. I mean, God damn, these lies. But how would you describe this? How would you describe thinking you're going to win and you end up with 4%? You end up getting smoked by the person that you said you were going to beat. She didn't double.
It's textbook narcissism and, delusion.
Dude, if she had doubled Cenk's vote, she would have had 4,000. Would you say that someone getting twice as many votes as you is a thrashing?
Yeah, I mean, that's a pretty solid way to describe that.
So what would you say 7 times your votes?
Decimation or complete annihilation.
Genocide? The Turkish genocide.
Possibly. I mean, last time I talked about genocide, it was having to do with chickens and cows.
Yeah, the vegans are freaking out. I wonder if any of these candidates were vegans. My God. All right, keep an eye on this Cenk Watch 2020 here.
Yeah, I got it playing in my other ear.
And do you remember he said, Cenk 2020, buy my merch because one way or the other, win or lose, it's going to be a collectible. And it is a collectible in all the wrong reasons. And Cenk 2020, he bought that website. He bought the URL years ago. Or, I mean, way before he announced that he was going to run. So this was in his mind for a while, waiting for the opportunity. Like the opportunistic carpetbagger that he is, he saw a chance. And I think, do you know what I called it? I called it after the debate. So we had that debate. It was a weird format in the sense that there were 10 people there. He thought this was going to be his big chance to show that he's fighting and he's a little tough guy. He's the little engine that could. And he's like he's Bernie. He's basically Bernie. He had Bernie on his show 60 times before Bernie became Bernie. He had AOC on his show 100 times. That's why she's AOC. Now he's going to use that same might, the exact same machine that built Bernie and AOC. He's going to use it on himself. But it didn't work. Now, why? Why is that? Because Bernie's a better politician? Because Bernie is actually a politician? He's been in office, in one way or another for 30 years?
Could be Cenk's complete lack of charisma and abrasiveness.
Yeah, so he disregards likability completely. And that's why in the commercials that they did, they tried to soften him up. So he had some advisors. Now, I don't think he trusts his advisors. I think he says, look, no, this is what I'm going to do. I go into a purple district, and I'm going to say, fuck guns, fuck religion, hooray for the Muslims, healthcare for all, or get out. And he says, we got to go hard. We got to lean hard on our far left shit. And that's going to work on centrists and Republicans? What? What are you thinking? So the answer to, can a far left candidate win in a purple district? No. Why would you think that's a logical connection? So, I mean, I wonder if he's going to be reflective. Is he going to be humbled? Is he going to be hopeful, delusional? Hold on.
Live coverage of Super Tuesday. We have our rowdy crew with us. Ben, Ida, and John are here. And joining us right now is Cenk Uygur, who ran for Congress in California's 25th district.
He ran. It's past tense.
Thank you for joining us.
No problem. I'm amused that it's already past tense.
Yes, he saw it too.
What, Jack? Didn't you run for Congress one year? Is that right?
Oh my God, they're clowning on him. He lost.
Yeah, so we're at campaign headquarters here in Palmdale, and we got a good, wonderful, rowdy crowd here. Hey guys!
Yeah, a lot of excitement.
The camera won't turn to the whole room. Oh, wait.
Okay.
Oh my God.
All right, you get it.
All right, Cenk. So we spoke briefly about the results from the race.
Yeah.
And
oh my God, look at Anna. It's
okay.
awkward.
Yes.
It's awkward.
So first of all, please stop.
I know. I don't know what to say. Really
No, I'm kidding. Yeah. All right, listen, guys. It's really important. The 12% that's reporting so far is from Simi Valley. Simi Valley is the most Republican, most conservative part of the district.
Simi Valley.
And we knew we were not going to get great results from there.
Okay.
I would have liked a little bit better, not great results from Simi Valley. But
that's the cop district.
That is. To say that's not our stronghold is the biggest understatement. So only Ventura County has come in. That's this part of the district that's Ventura County. LA County is notoriously late, as always. And here we are an hour in, and they are late. And so we don't know how late they'll be. But so the way that our strengths went was weakest part of the district for us was Simi Valley. Then Santa Clarita, and then Antelope Valley. So this is like one of those national elections where we always kid around about how Cuyahoga County is going to come in at the end and save the Democrat in Ohio. Well, in my case, it's the Antelope Valley, which is where we are right now.
So you mentioned LA County and how it takes a while for the results to come in from LA. Well, it's interesting that you mentioned that because the Sanders campaign has filed an emergency motion to keep the polls open in Los Angeles till 10 p.m. And part of the reason why is because of all sorts of issues, insanely long lines. Some people had to wait as long as 4 hours in order to vote. And so he wants to ensure that everyone has an opportunity to vote.
Cenk still thinks that the Antelope Valley is going to save him. But Simi Valley is different, so it is. He was never going to win Simi Valley.
Yeah.
So first of all, there were some long lines even in the afternoon in Santa Clarita, and when I got to one of the polling stations, a couple was walking out frustrated. We were trying to convince them to go to a nearby voting area that was less crowded, but even that area was crowded by the time we got there later in the afternoon. And then at night, especially in the Antelope Valley, there were very long lines, and then there was a situation where a couple of the polling stations, and one in particular that had the longest line, had the poll workers say, we will not let people who are in line vote past.
So voter fraud? That's what he's going with?
The good news is the supervisors that are in charge in LA stepped in and said, no, that's not right. If you're in line by 8 o'clock, it is very important. You must let them vote. It is illegal not to let them vote. Okay. So
this is not the point. You're down thousands of votes.
The one that was most in peril, she still hasn't made it back yet because she wants to make sure that everybody there votes.
Look at this conspiracy theory. This is sad.
Our awesome, wonderful volunteers went to every single polling station.
So he hasn't conceded the loss? He still thinks he's going to win.
By 8, got a chance to vote, and they're all still there right now. So we are making sure that everyone's going to get to vote.
Yeah, so Los Angeles County, which by the way, in case people don't know, is by far the biggest county in the country. So they rolled out these new voting machines, this new fleet of voting machines, and you get it, you use it, you get that it's the future, right? But it is maddening, and the registration.
Look at his face.
They're going to talk about his placement on the ballot here.
Yeah, they'll talk about that. Look at him. He's downtrodden. He's just over.
They only bring in essentially one person at a time.
And by the way, if this was any other candidate, if Christy Smith had 4% and he had 32, he would be doing fucking, he'd be dancing around going, oh my God, she got destroyed. This is a mandate. Look at the people have spoken. This is amazing.
They weren't totally.
So now it's dead silent and this is awkward. There's a lot of tension. Can you feel it?
God, if my father or
what?
Do you think that's the face he had in high school when he was repeatedly rejected by women?
Yeah, I think it's all crashing in on him. Look at him. His soul has been sucked up from him.
I thought that was by far the simplest machine that I've ever used in my life.
No, but I mean,
for voting.
No, not for people, John.
Yeah, no, guys. On that,
he still thinks
there's new digital ballots. First of all, anytime you have a new system, there'll be some degree of confusion.
Yeah,
okay, but more importantly, in this case, you had to scroll down. You had to hit the more button to see more candidates, and so a study that was used in a lawsuit that we were privy to a month before the election said that it cost people not on the first page 6 to 12 points. So that is a stunning number that would decide any election.
Yeah,
it's not fair.
If that's true. And so you think like, oh, I've used a lot of iPads and computers. I know to scroll down.
The problem is Christy Smith is not on the first page either. So this point is totally moot.
Older voters and whatever.
That's why he's not mentioning it. He's not saying, you know what though? Christy Smith is also on the third page too. So I was like,
so there was a good amount of confusion, even if most people knew to scroll down. You'd always lose some percent.
Isn't that crazy though? That's what you're not hearing. Cenk, the person that is smoking you by over 7 times the votes you have is also experiencing the same thing you're talking about right now.
I mean, you want to talk about confusing?
Right.
You're supposed to hit more, but not next. If you hit next, that means you accidentally voted.
And it's not just. So you have to, if you don't know the more, you have to ask for help. And
yeah, that the system is flawed, but they need to fix that. You have to have a intuitive UI.
To ask for help, to say nothing of people with language issues.
He hasn't accepted. Cenk,
so
people don't like your ideas. They don't like you, especially not in that district. It was a ridiculous thing for you to try.
Love your mom.
Yeah, awesome. She was great. Well, John, it was cool, and it's clearly the future. There were flaws, and even I was like you hit next and you hit okay, and then they're like, now you have to hit done. I'm like, hey man, next okay. I was done at okay. So I didn't think it was the most intuitive thing ever, and anyway, it didn't work.
Compared to the punchy thing with the overlay and all that, I thought it was very simple.
Yeah.
It's the future.
Anyway, Cenk, let me ask you a question.
Here we go.
So the preliminary results don't look good. I got it. We have votes still to count. Was it worth it?
$1 million.
First of all, it was always worth it, but it's way too eurly to talk about that.
Yes.
We're really gonna have to wait till
He still thinks he's
midnight or 3 a.m. to discuss that. So no, seriously. Look, I'll talk at the end about why it's always worth it. But let's see where things come out here. Look, I know that the first set of numbers are not good, right? But it really is. Simi Valley is a different planet than Antelope Valley.
Yeah, we when we went. I mean, I was with you just this Sunday, and I mean, it's called a district, but that is not a community. There may be communities inside the district, but the district is so distinct from one part to the other that the notion that the people of the Antelope Valley have a lot in common with the people of Simi Valley because they're both in the 25th district is absurd.
And by the way, that's code for Simi Valley is white and the other district is less white.
Porter Ranch. You got the Antelope Valley.
Yeah.
You got Santa Clarita. Like those are like honestly 3 different countries for me. Like they really are. So campaigning there is not easy because it's just like this large sprawling district. But Cenk, you know, I don't know if you caught any of the show. I doubt it. But we miss you. Like I miss you.
Yeah.
You know, so like I no matter what happens tonight, I think that for me personally, and I know that you went through a lot in this race, watching you in that debate, which wasn't supposed to be a debate, but it ended up being a debate.
Oh my gosh, you kiss his ass?
One of the most uplifting things I've seen in a long time.
It was an embarrassment, Anna.
You called Christy Smith out on all.
Gotta kiss ass with the boss, man.
On
totally.
Everything she stands for, and
there's nothing wrong with Christy Smith, you idiot.
I've never seen that. Like I've never seen anyone in a debate or a town hall call out the corruption in our system as aggressively as you did. And I think that political activism isn't just about accomplishing something right away. I think it's about planting seeds, right? And those seeds eventually germinate. So I think that, you know, regardless of what happens tonight, my read is that it was worth it.
She had to bring up the Germans.
Okay, I have to confess, I did catch that part, and we were listening to TYT on the way up. You know why? Because we wanted to get the results, and we wanted the best coverage of the election.
Oh my God.
So that's why we were listening to you guys in the car, and I actually want to ask you about a couple of other races, but that was very sweet. I appreciate it, guys. I really do. And look, I have the best backup option on the planet, which is to go back to the best job on the planet.
With your tail between your legs. This is not what you wanted.
But we're not talking about that yet, because I hope soon we'll be saying, "Here comes Uger."
Oh my God. Whisper of a dream.
The bull running through the streets to, you know, trample
Let's hope, and let's see how LA County goes.
Okay.
Hopefully it'll come in time here, and they won't pull in LA and report it on Thursday.
It's Super Thursday. Don't forget, it's Super Thursday.
Right.
Exactly. Maybe Joe Biden will be right. So when I win on Thursday, it'll be amazing.
Well, I want to say something. You know, I've been traveling. You know, I've been on the road.
Not this woman.
And you have so much support throughout the country.
What?
Not just in California.
Yeah, you should run for president.
I think that is, you know, I'm a stand-up comedian, but it is so uplifting when so many TYT members come to the shows and say, I appreciate you guys speaking up for us. And I wish I could vote for Cenk in California, and I would. And as always, you know, you are a hero to me because
come on.
You speak up for people that nobody else speaks up for.
Yeah, the blacks, because you're not even black.
Geez. Said in 2016 on that dreadful day when you turn to me and you say, Ida, now we fight.
Now we fight. He's been saying that the whole time. Now you lose, man. I mean, seriously, what they're saying is true, though. He has a good job. He's happy as a clam. Trust me.
And let me tell you something.
His life could have gone a million different directions, and the fact that he ended up where he is with his reach, he's content.
Joe Biden.
So he will recover.
I am so sick of and done.
But this is a major wound. I mean, he is licking his wounds, and he is being humbled tonight like I've never seen before.
Extraordinaire between Bernie and Biden. So, like I said earlier in the show, now it's trench warfare. And
by the way, even if Trump wins, that's good for TYT. So they will never admit that, but there's a reason why a show like West Wing did well when Bush was president. West Wing is not going to succeed under an Obama administration.
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't.
Well, maybe it was over in Obama too.
No.
It happens twice a year.
Yeah.
All right, Jake, thank you for calling in and sharing your thoughts with us, and we'll keep the audience posted about the race.
Yeah, waiting for the Antelope Valley. I think that's a song.
Yeah.
Wow.
All right.
That's right.
Comical.
All right, talk to you soon.
John.
Thank you, guys.
That's crazy.
So we do have a few updates, some important ones. One really fast one.
Okay.
In the U.S. Senate Republican primary for Alabama, Jeff Sessions.
Nobody cares. Okay, well, did that meet my expectations? No, he complains about the way the balloting works. He says that he still has a chance to win, and it was really awkward though. It was very tense, and he felt humiliated. It was like, oh God, I got to go on air and talk to them again after all that hype. You have to understand, he didn't say, hey guys, I'm going to give it my best shot. I no guarantees. I don't know if people are going to like me or whatnot, but here I go. No, he's saying, I'm going to win this. I'm the front runner, he said. He said, I'm the front runner. So far, it's painful. So look, maybe what he's saying is true though. That's the funny thing. He probably will do better in those other districts. He can't do worse. Can he?
We've got 69% rounded up, but I will, of the vote, and Joe Biden is narrowly leading now by 0.2. In the Texas primary, Joe Biden is now up by 1.5%.
Dude,
with the 63%.
He's up by 1.8%.
And for the first time, the New York Times model, which was fluctuating on both sides, 50%,
he's winning Texas.
Dramatically.
Biden is winning Texas. That's insane. That was the one big one they wanted. California, that's like, okay, great. But they needed Texas. They didn't get it. He's winning Maine and Texas by 1.8, and that's 61% of the vote in.
Well, I have friends in Texas that are registered Republicans that voted intentionally for Biden. So.
Yeah.
Elizabeth Warren sent out an email to her supporters. You can read the entire thing if you want, but she is saying 6 more states are voting a week from today on March 10th. Can you chip in now as results are coming so we can get to work earning more votes and more delegates, indicating at least for tonight that she's still asking her supporters to give her money, which,
you know, all those emails do that. They highlight the hyperlink. They do the blue text, and there's a whole art form to how to get people to read your emails and to have a personal touch. It's kind of troubling. I used to be into that.
So another friend from Texas just messaged it's watching this, and he said he did it too as a Republican.
Oh, really? That's awesome.
A month ago.
Yeah. I mean, this is like forget the whatever morality. None of that interests me anyway. But I don't know. It would help. An endorsement of Bernie would presumably help. It would be a nice news cycle.
Okay, he's talking about Elizabeth Warren. He has to be happy because he tells Cenk, "You're wrong, dude. You're wrong. Stop trying to walk around like you think you know everything. You don't." And that's the regressives. They are incapable of taking on criticism. Have you ever heard of such a thing? If anything, they've gone into a purity spiral, and they're even more cemented in their ridiculous views. So what if my videos have been criticism of them? And not all their ideas are bad. You know, I'm not going to give them a golf clap for being right on abortion or some shit, but they have some good ideas. You know, healthcare. I want healthcare. I don't want the way they want it, but we have the same goal in mind. And, you know, they care about the environment. That's good. So, you know, they're not a complete waste of space. That's my point. But it is their characters that disallow them from fielding a outside party coming at them saying, here's where you could improve. Here's where you're wrong. It's just not part of their nature.
Well, he won't take any criticism because usually most of their positions come from their belief that they're always on the moral high ground no matter what.
Yeah.
It kind of reflects more of like a religious zeal where they always think they're right and they can't possibly be wrong because they have this, it's righteous, you know, righteousness and all the virtue of what their beliefs are always morally right and that they could never be wrong. So if you're in that mindset position, how are you going to take criticism when your beliefs are practically of a divine nature?
It's true, because then you have a chink in the armor, and then you can't sit there and lecture people and scream, "Oh, I'm better than you, and this and that, and here's what we need to do, and oh my God." They are authority figures. So
Well, if you disagree, it's because you're evil and not moral. So how could they possibly take your criticism, but anything but somehow an evil position?
And that's why they seem stupefied when people don't agree with them and when reality comes by and smacks them in the face. It's a shock to the system. It's like, those things you rub together, you say clear. What do they call them? The heart pumps.
Defibrillator?
There you go. Yeah. And they are just jolted back into like, wait, other people are different than me, but don't they see how great I am? Have they not seen how many followers I have? I guess, I mean, popularity has its limits. Fame has its limits. It doesn't mean much when you're trying to get outside your bubble and get things done in the real world. People don't care. I got news for you. There's people who are not on YouTube. They are raising children. They are going to work. They're watching television even. They're doing other stuff. They just don't care.
Yeah.
They don't know your jokes. They don't know your memes. They don't care about you. Your fame means nothing to them.
Additionally to that too is from their political position as like the regressives, not only do they have roughly half the country being the conservatives that disagree with them, and then the other, liberals and Democrats will agree with them on some issues, disagree with them on others. Let's call that 25% of the country. It's probably more than that, let's be honest. So they're in a minority position with their beliefs, and if they can't get the other 75+% of people on the map, they're never going to accomplish their goals, even if they are in line with other Democrats, because they just can't work with anybody. They can't compromise on anything.
You're right. You've tapped into the fundamental problem, which is if you are a minority, a severe minority, you cannot bully your way and chastise others into liking you or agreeing with you. It's not how persuasion works. So first and foremost, no matter what you're trying to do, trying to sell something, the first thing you have to be is pleasant and respectful. They aren't. They're not pleasant and they're not respectful. Imagine you are a vacuum cleaner salesman. You walk into a house, you go, look, this vacuum, listen to the policy. It's a policy proposition. This vacuum, there have been studies. Okay, HuffPo came out with a study about this vacuum. It's the superior vacuum. What part of that don't you understand? You don't think I know vacuums? I know vacuums. I'm better at it. I'm better at vacuum sales than almost anyone. Okay, I've heard of other people, they try to do it, they can't do it. I could do it better. You need to buy this vacuum. That is their policy on how to get you to join them. Now, I think they're wrong, period, just completely wrong. But this criticism is not even about that. It's not even, regardless that they're wrong, it's that they don't know what they're doing in terms of winning people over.
Yeah, I mean, how many times have you done the opposite of somebody on something you completely don't care about just because they came off as an asshole towards you?
Okay, like put it this way, it's a tragic error that it's like an Achilles heel scenario. They can't get outside themselves. They cannot escape this. So for example, here's an equivalent situation. My stance on guns is probably more nuanced than many of you think, but I'm against guns. I don't think a country or citizen should have guns. But I recognize that America has a bunch of guns. It's like way too late to make that philosophical case. Having said that, if I was trying to convince gun owners, Second Amendment people, to institute some sort of significant gun control, like adding a minimum age of 25 years old, what temperament would I walk into that conversation with? Look, you fucking gun nuts, listen to me. Listen, I'm going to be loud with you. Okay, guns are bad. What don't you get about it? Are you crazy? Are you stupid? It's not even, what's ironic is they spend their whole life studying politics. It's not political to do that. It's not diplomatic. Have strategy, have an angle, be smart. What are you doing? And instead, what do? They set fire to everything. Progressives versus everyone. Imagine, that's their policy. That's their stated policy, is fuck everyone, including the people on our side of the aisle. They don't say unity, let's guide the rest of the legacy Democrats, let's call them. Let's guide the old folks into the newer, better ideas. And in a respectful fashion, we're going to do the hard work in the trenches to get these moderate Democrats to join us on these issues. We're going to go issue by issue, and we're going to convince them this way. No, they don't. They go scorched earth, and they go fuck you, fuck Hillary, fuck Biden, fuck Buttigieg, fuck you, Devin, fuck Obama. In fact, fuck Obama, and they think they're going to get somewhere with that. They better pray to God Obama doesn't come out and just straight up support Biden, and he could. There's no rule he can't.
He honestly should, because pretty much what they're doing is trying to hold the Democratic Party as a hostage to get their way.
Yes, it really is. I mean, they have an independent running right now, and they know they're scared to shit to start a third party, because then they're basically the glorified Green Party, and they'd be a joke.
Yeah, they would definitely be a joke, especially because the way the Federal Election Commission works, the two parties make the rules of that, and they aren't fair for getting a third party to even be booted up.
Right.
And it would definitely be a joke on that, and like they're poisoning the Democratic Party. And as someone who's, I'm further to the right of you, but I would prefer both parties to be fundamentally healthy, because one party is going to have better ideas for some things, the other party is going to have better ideas for different things, and it needs to kind of go back and forth.
Yeah.
So the best policy positions out of both sides, instead of having this fucking chaos on the left that can't compete with the right, because it's actually going to cause the right to do worse things because there's less competition there.
I see that point, and I hate to admit it, but look, I think that my views are the correct views. That's why I have my views. But if you were to take an issue like race, I mean, I cannot be blind to the fact that the majority of people on the left are so backward on race that it is a fair statement to say the left is wrong on race. Okay, they're wrong on reparations. Go poll them. Go poll the Democrats. Say who's in favor of reparations. Whatever that number is, it's not 100%. It's not zero. It's going to be way higher than the Republicans. So the Republicans are correct on that issue. Does that make me a Republican? No. There's 1,000 other issues that I'm on the left. And I don't even think that issues like this really are political. Shouldn't politics be within a realm of like economics and foreign policy and budgets and housing and, boring shit? Why are we including cultural things, social things? It's become a net. It just catches everything. It's just
cultural issues are usually used as wedge issues to split the voting base further apart and secure, certain segments of a vote. So it's used as a tool in politics, because all the boring stuff, like even if you disagree with a policy, like many people right now disagree with a lot of the economic policies going on, the results are hard to argue against for the last, 3 years. I mean, there's been some volatility in the markets, and right now we're in a downturn, but that's because of international events.
Well, I think there's a lot of posturing, and people take credit and give blame for large sweeping economic moves.
And shifts. It's a way more complex issue, but
it also
gets the blame or the credit.
And even the notion that we're doing well, when you're really talking about Wall Street and you're talking about like the top 1% and how people's stocks are doing and shit, like there's a huge section of our country that is not even touched by that. And there are real issues like, minimum wage and just, the concept of a middle class, the concept of,
it's a complex thing, and I spoke about it in a generality.
Yeah.
But like either way, if the Democrats do something that makes the economy better, the right should be happy that it's doing better, and vice versa. Yes, there are other sub, units of what part of the economy could be doing better and things like that. But the cultural stuff is really set as a wedge issue to fire people up. And things like that.
Now we're still waiting for the next result. Now I'm refreshing, and they're taking their time. But people in LA are late, like he said, and he thinks he's having a comeback. He's not ready to throw in the towel. But yeah, you're right. The problem is, I think that they're going to react, especially if Bernie loses, they're going to react like a kid who just took a dump in his diaper. And they're not going to want to play. They want to go home. They want to have a good cry. And really, it is outrageous, because knowing them, knowing their political stance, just look at where they are on the political spectrum. If your choices are Biden or Trump and you're them, that's a no-brainer. That's absolutely, you have one choice to make, because Biden agrees with so many things that they agree with. Now, he's not for Medicare for all. He's not regressive as fuck the way Bernie is, but he's way toward Bernie. He's closer to Bernie than to Trump by a long stretch. And so the statement that Biden would be the most progressive candidate we've had, I don't know how you differentiate him from Obama, but it's, we're in the same ballpark. Then they should be kind of supportive of him. Once their guy is lost, but they're not going to do that. There's no way.
A tantrum. Like Milwaukee is going to have so much property damage after the DNC's convention there.
Oh, yeah. Oh, where is it? Milwaukee?
I believe so. I believe it's in Milwaukee. What is it, like the 10 blocks surrounding whatever the building it's going to be in?
Oh, dude.
There's going to have to be a lot of police there because they're going to throw a complete tantrum fit out in the streets.
Yeah, that's a hood over there. But what's incredible, they should support Biden, but they won't. And here's the simple math equation. You support Biden, you're looking at 4 to 8 years. Now, he could die in that time, and that's not a joke. But Biden is likely to pick Kamala Harris, which was brought up today. Or that there's some other Stacey Abrams, some other black chick. But
yeah.
I'm not sure about the logic of that because he already has the black vote really rock solid. So maybe there's another strategic move he could place, but it's still almost like an olive branch and a peace offering to some elements of the far left, because a woman and a black woman, they're like,
he might not even die in office. He might, just become unfit for other reasons, or maybe he might even just step down because he might be too tired to actually do the job, being at the age he's at. Where he's like, I can't handle this. I've made my VP pick to make amends to the more radical parts of our party that don't like me. I'll just step down now because I trust this VP. It's between him and Sanders somewhere, you know what I mean?
It's a guy who looks like his VP pick is not just a throwaway. It is of critical importance who he picks. And I don't like Kamala Harris, but I mean, for a variety of reasons.
I don't like her either.
But I could see why the optics might garner some support just from blacks and women, which doesn't hurt in a general election.
Maybe it'd be Cory Booker.
Oh, really?
I mean, I doubt it, but who really knows? Like, he dropped out the race after Harris. Harris was knocked out of the race before her. I think he does better when he's just in general when he's speaking. He doesn't seem to get stopped up when challenged on an issue when speaking. But when he's hamming it up is when he does bad, when he does his whole I am Spartacus, so on.
But he's already done the standing next to a black man, a half black man thing. I don't think he wants to do that again. Because Cory Booker is like I
think he doesn't care.
Yeah, but he's a poor man's Obama, and I think a black woman would be new. That would be his own thing. He'd be it'd be a new venture.
He picked Warren.
Warren, interesting. Elizabeth Warren. They're on better terms than Bernie and Warren.
Yeah, because they had that fallout recently, so he could pick Warren for first female.
Definitely. Actually, I'm now thinking of that. It's a possibility, but obviously we're not there yet, and there's a long way to go. But yeah, it's shady. It's just the problem is in today's climate and knowing who these people are and just how their minds work, there's just no way he's picking a man.
At least he can't pick Cenk.
You think he's gonna pick Cenk?
No, he can't. He literally can't. He's he's foreign born, so he's not eligible to be a president.
But Cenk has to go back into his propaganda mode, so he's going to do TYT Academy, and he's going to try to save his company by raising $200,000. And what that translates to is commercial after commercial, pledge drives. It's going to be just stupid shit. They're going to try to
go another foreign investor that wants them to make their propaganda for them like last time.
And they're milking the same audience. How much money does he think these people have? They're like, dude, I just gave you money for your stupid campaign.
I mean, that building's made of lots of bricks. They can put their names on more of the bricks from their GoFundMe fundraiser.
Because remember, Anna said it's all about planting the seeds, and they're going to germinate. Germinate. When is that germinate going to be taking place?
I don't know. I think you just picked a word related to plants.
Back to this math equation. If you're a regressive, you could try to get Biden in and be like, look, me and Biden, we agree on like 85% of shit. He wasn't my guy, but I agree with him way more than Trump. You could do that. And if you get Biden in, you're probably not going to see office for 8 years, assuming he wins. However, if you don't support Biden, you create a rift in the Democratic Party. You do not vote for him. You tell others not to vote for him. You get Trump for 4 years.
Well, and here's the thing too: is like if they were to back Biden, then they're in their minds they're going to see it as them being unable to use that we're holding the election hostage and the party as hostage, because then it shows like that they're not seriously going to hold it hostage. So when they try to do that, it's our way or else thing again, then everybody's going like, no, you're just going to fall in line.
No, they are going to sabotage it, and they're going to blame, oh, Biden was a shit candidate, but Biden's like a male Hillary, and it's you guys, it's the corporate people. You guys are the ones who
will be a grand circus.
Right, so they will be the reason Biden doesn't go in, and they'll blame the moderate wing of the party. And then they'll try to reset 4 years later, just like they did in 2016, and they'll say, look, who do the Republicans have coming up? Who's the next in line? Whoever he is.
They would try to push in 2024 if that case happens, because there's no way it's going to be Sanders again. There's just no possible way.
Sanders can't. No, even they would be like, dude, Sanders, you had your time, and you're the godfather of the movement. Whatever, be gone.
Well, even if he's still alive, then he'd be in no possible shape to run. This is the real stupid thing of them is if they do that, Bernie or Boston, they destroy this election, they're guaranteeing another Supreme Court pick.
Correct.
But there's no way she's making it another 4 years.
I was going to say a guy like Beto, but Beto came out in favor of Biden, and that's basically like
Beto came out in favor of Biden, and not only that, but he would not win any possible purple states because of his position on the Second Amendment.
That was a little bit radical. He tried to go crazy left.
By his definition, Glocks that cops own would be considered assault weapons by his definition.
Yeah. I mean, it's comical. He's like, we're going to come get your guns. I mean, even if you believe that, why would you run on that?
It's ridiculous.
And the reason he'd run on it is because he was trying to flank these dudes on the left. But he almost won in Texas, which, Texas is a little bit bluer than people might think.
In some districts, yes. In many districts, no.
Yeah, but
like even in their bluer districts, I think you shouldn't go after the guns in Texas. I think you're asking, like let's say he was pro Second Amendment, maybe he could have beat Cruz. But I think stuff like that, especially in Texas, it really hurt him.
Okay, let's check in with you.
What actually do, or is it just a return to normalcy is good enough for me?
The second thing.
Yeah.
It is. 100%. So I'm not just in a bubble.
No. I mean, no, you're not in a bubble in that you recognize.
Anna has her mad face on. You see it?
But part of their fear, one, is almost invariable.
Ben is secretly loving tonight.
Most of the things, depends on which group I'm talking about now and then. Incredibly rich people who hate Bernie. Many of them hate Warren more. They're more afraid of Warren than Bernie. But the other Democrats who I know think Bernie's going to get killed. Think he's going to get crushed. And so their support for Biden is partly because they think he has the best chance of beating Trump. They've seen those polls. They've heard from experts who aren't,
Hold on. Let's check in on Hassan Piker. See if I can pull this off.
Hassan has just 3,000 less viewers than TYT right now.
Yeah, it's wild. I have no idea who he has that audience. Hassan Piker, you ready?
A lot of it, I think, I've been watching the Twitch chat. A lot of it is just people railing him and making fun of him.
And say, you know what, that's justified because these guys are our enemies and might is right. Or you can look at that and realize maybe we need to do something about this. Maybe we need to stop this nonsense.
He's mad. He's mad. Come on, Hassan, get the Antifa guys. Go lift some weights and put it on YouTube.
Don't get me started on fucking climate change, man.
Oh, man. He's so righteous. He's such a warrior for the left, for the commie left, the bread tube hero.
You ever heard of China or Russia? Yeah, I have. We're somehow worse. You think I'm a fan of fucking Russia? You think I'm a fan of China?
That's crazy.
I'm not.
Bernie Sanders is too far to the right for this guy.
Yeah, well, he's full-blown, red revolution.
And instead of getting angry at found out just now, but get angry at me for being the messenger.
nothing
do a
in
little
that
bit of introspection, okay? We're doing genocide in Yemen right now. Our greatest ally in the region, Saudi Arabia, is doing genocide in Yemen with our weapons. Raytheon, Lockheed Martin, our companies selling weapons to Saudi Arabia.
How does it feel to get fired from TYT?
Bernie Sanders.
I mean, he's decided to be completely ridiculous. I'm wondering, it had to have been a chick to make him go that red.
Well, check this out. One of the good things, like, my guy was Yang. Like, I'm already bitter. Like, I've already lost. So
I would vote for Yang as somebody who's much further to the right than you, but Yang has appeal for
India's
both
also
sides.
doing genocide, and Trump is supporting them. Yeah, who supported Modi before Donald Trump?
Yeah. But look, there are silver linings in all scenarios, and one of the silver linings.
China is worse. Sorry, look at the Uyghurs. Yeah, China is.
God. One of the good things about Bernie Sanders getting smoked on Super Tuesday by Joe Biden is the panic and the anger and the meltdown that is happening right now. I mean, we're in the middle of it. There's probably going to be clips tomorrow. People are going to compile stuff, memes. I mean, there were predictions. I'd love to see a start of the TYT broadcast, which I saw some of, but they were like, "This is our night. This is the crowning night. We're about to take a victory lap."
Guantanamo Bay open still at this point. That was another thing that Barack Obama ran on. Remember?
Oh, he's mad at Barack
Closing
Obama.
Guantanamo Bay.
Oh, he didn't get it done? Oh. Hassan, your uncle lost.
It's almost like the president
isn't again. But I'm powerless to stop it. But at the very least, I can do something about my own country that I live in.
Still no updates. Christy Smith.
At the very least, I can at least get my countrymen, my fellow citizens, to acknowledge the hurt that we've caused around the world and to do something to stop it, to focus on ourselves, to focus on rebuilding American infrastructure.
Here we go.
To focus on making sure that we have a better healthcare system.
This is, shut up, Hassan. This is, people say this, they say, I say, I like Yang. They go, well, here's something that Yang is not perfect on. He said a thing once. First of all, this was an innocuous line. My guy's Yang. Yang told an audience that he was concerned that with whites attacking Asians because of their success in the U.S. Yeah, he threw that out like as a theory because it was during a time where whites were attacking people. I think they attacked a synagogue, and there was concern that white supremacist attacks were on the rise, and they were. The guy in Houston, that was concerning. So that was a reaction to a trend, and he was just making a point that this was a consideration. I think he was talking to an Asian audience. So this is not some core principles, not some main talking point. You're just triggered because the guy mentioned whites and it wasn't a glowing review. Yang is not into racial tribalism, and he's a great candidate. And by the way, even if Yang is not Mr. Joe Perfect, grow up, be an adult. I mean, no one is. So you still take the sum total of what the guy brings to the table.
Who was
and you have to understand
an authoritarian strongman who utilized conservatism, anti-elitism, anti-Western values
Hassan's on a bender.
as his main platform and engage in a culture war and take over the country.
I wonder if he comments on
right wing in every sense of the word. Or in Turkey, they call him liberals.
Okay,
he's a liberal.
Turkish politics.
He privatized, nationalized industries, made short-term gains in the Turkish economy.
I mean, if the chat is going that
sold
fast,
everything
why
to foreign corporations.
That's just Twitch. Twitch is
absolute trash fire.
Recep Tayyip Erdogan rose to power 10 to 15 years before Donald Trump did.
Who cares about
in an exact
Turkey?
fashion? I saw it happen in my country. I thought maybe it won't happen here in America. And America has a fighting spirit. Americans will finally figure out that they're getting dealt a shitty hand by both of these parties.
The anger is amazing.
One side willing to compromise, the other side willing to get more and more radical.
Why is he mad? Let's try to analyze that. They're just mad because people don't agree with them. What's interesting is there's never any request for why don't you agree with me? They don't reach out to the other side. They don't say, what are we doing wrong? It's just rage. Fuck you, you're done there. Bah, bah. There's no ability to evolve or to learn or to alter their position.
He's so passionate in his Instagram photos.
Yeah, very much so.
Erdogan won.
Yep, he's still talking about Erdogan. He's pronouncing it like a Turk.
Silivri soğuk abi.
He's talking Turkish. The fuck? Sound like Klingon.
I still love the stream where he admitted that he's white.
Yeah, he said, unfortunately, I'm white. I'll never forget that. And we're still waiting on results.
JFA is
and
still similar to the Democratic Party in the
time.
sense that they are just a soft opposition, controlled opposition.
All right, should we check back in on the TYT Army? Are they still going?
Yeah, voters in the Texas primaries today received robocalls telling them the Democrats to vote on Wednesday.
Right now,
we'll never find out where it came
like
from.
They're on break or something.
There are still
showing Ben on.
people waiting in lines for the past 3 hours in colleges in Texas.
Okay, chill, Hassan. Jesus Christ. People are into that? That's insane. Okay, let me get you a little Super Tuesday. Okay, here we go.
Jesus, what a life I could live just worrying about that kind of stuff, right? But I feel it emotionally. It has affected my quality of life. It's because and I'm a pretty good guy. I care about other people, and what I think is what the Bernie movement doesn't
here it is.
take seriously enough is
optics.
It's not just derisively going back to the status quo kind of thing. I say too. So, but that is the anxiety that these last few years, even going through starting in 2015, that we're now 5 years in, counting the election season, is acute. And nostalgia is not watching what show did you grow up watching?
Happy Days.
Like, what was your favorite show as a teenager?
The Simpsons.
The Simpsons, or nostalgia isn't watching an episode of The Simpsons or finding the Jeffersons from the 70s. Did you watch Friends, John? Or you were
only a little bit.
Yeah, Frasier, right? You love Friends, John.
I also liked Married with Children.
So nostalgia isn't that. It's not getting an old pennant of the Oakland A's in 1975 where I'm like, oh my God, cool, I'm gonna hang the wall. Nostalgia is an incredibly legitimate, real feeling that connects you to usually the best times in your life.
Yeah.
Connects you to your parents, connects you to maybe your grandparents, connects you to friends you've fallen out of touch with, makes you feel a certain way.
Mm-hmm.
And the desire to return to a feeling that isn't this is really strong.
I agree with you.
So, and Joe Biden is the personification of that feeling. And that's why if he were good at this at all, this would be over and Bernie would have been. So,
God, he looks
thankfully
old as hell. Look at him.
So I don't know that it is over. I'm seeing a lot of things. I will say really fast, if we could update, at 29% in the 28th district of Texas, Henry Cuellar currently has he's more than a 5-point lead. Is that looking like?
Yeah, they wanted that girl so bad. Cisneros. She was going to be the Mexican AOC.
So,
well, we'll see. We'll see. I don't know exactly how the
Mexican AOC
aren't going to have a ton of centrists splitting the vote and helping Bernie. Then I say let's have it be Biden versus Bernie. Let's have the lowest possible chance of a contested convention. If Biden's going to win, if Bernie's going to win, I want them to actually win and just get the nomination. It's frustrating that it feels like we're replaying 2016, but I will say that on tonight, I didn't think we'd have this primary, but the primary that I'm seeing is there was a theory. There were at least 2 theories in 2016 of what effect would a Trump presidency have. And there were a lot of people who believed this will drive people to finally accept the radical solutions that we actually need. And I said many times, or it could lead people to want anything other than what we have, and that it could in fact drive people.
Yeah, they're trying to make excuses now and try to spin this in a way, but they are deeply wounded. I mean, they were 1,000% confident Bernie was the guy. A week ago, the press, he was all but the president of the United States in their minds. And now that has all been pushed, to the wayside, and they're freaking out bad. But that pales in comparison to what I'm about to break for you, which is just coming in, and it is rather shocking. And I am a little bit in a state of like a coma. We have 39% reporting, and we have radical changes in the top 4. Christy Smith still leads with 29%. Cenk sits at 27%. He has screamed to second place and is nipping at her heels with still 60% of the vote to come. I'm just kidding. It hasn't updated. He's still at 4.4%. He's getting smoked, and it's a fucking blowout.
So are you looking forward to the montage of TYT melting down tonight too?
I'm sure Dame Pesos is watching it.
Oh yeah, he already posted like all kinds of stuff on Twitter laughing at Jank, so
some guy's like, fuck you, Devin. Fuck you. I'm sorry, man. I didn't
really
want to scare you.
Ben Mankiewicz like mentioned it in previous. I think it does during the Iowa caucus.
Look,
like they mentioned it, but almost by name the last montages.
Yeah, God. But look at this. Ben Mankiewicz should be excited right now. He should gloat because he's been telling these people. He told them to their face, and he has the power because he's on the board of directors or co-founder. He can't be fired, and he's like, "You're wrong. You're so wrong. It's laughable. You're conspiracy nuts. You're Bernie bros. You're bad for the cause. You're bad for the movement. You don't know what you're doing. You're amateurs." I mean, the guy's an adult. The guy's Ashkenazi.
That's what we need more of in media and in politics as actual adults. Like, let's say if most of the Democrat Party, like if they got rid of the regressives and they all turned into reasonable, intelligent adults like Ben Mankiewicz, that might pull someone like me closer to the left. Because at least I feel like I'm dealing with somebody or a group of people that can be reasoned with and it can be discussed and, like at least adult plays, not radicalism.
And it's interesting that I've been seeing this more and more, the concept, the idea of honest disagreement, respectful disagreement. It's really refreshing because people are actually interested in ideas. We actually care about policy disagreements. We care about the issues.
Yeah, you and I disagree on things, but we'll acknowledge each other's valid points, and when ultimately we come to a disagreement that we can't resolve, it's usually due just to slightly different amounts of value we place on certain things, which is it's a subjective thing, and that's okay. But we can disagree and even concede certain points and what we'd think would be better, like adults. And
so
many millennials can't fucking do that.
If you are not pleasant and respectful, then it's a no-go. You're going to get nowhere. So they don't abide by that at all. But also, people call it goodwill, good faith. Have an argument in good faith. What they're saying is be respectful. Don't strawman. Don't be a snake.
Well,
don't be a liar.
That's a problem with them because they are constantly accuse other people of not arguing in good faith, even if it's just disagreement on what, based on like one person values a different thing over another thing. And that doesn't mean you're arguing from bad faith. It just means you have a different perspective.
Right. So for example, Jank and them, all these people, they say Medicare for all is the only universal health care possible. That's it. We have cornered the market on universal health care. It's called Medicare for all. Now that's a straight up lie. Everyone knows that's a lie. You can get there many different ways.
Systems with private healthcare all over Europe, including Scandinavian states that they want to model after. And that's what puts me off to Sanders is I have incredible private insurance that I do not want to lose.
There you go.
And I've been on Medicare before with my blood vessel condition when I was in college. And it was really difficult to get healthcare with Medicare. And when I did get it, versus now that I have private insurance, the way you get treated in hospitals is marginally different because they all know they're making more money when you have private health insurance. So they ended up treating you better. And it goes with all things. You get what you pay for. And if you're paying more, you typically get better service. And since I can afford it now after going through college and making those sacrifices, I want to keep those benefits that I have and reap the rewards of my hard work. And that doesn't mean I'm against helping poor people. I just don't want to lose what I have. I'd be willing to pay more taxes. Let's say we don't have these stupid wars in Afghanistan and Iraq, and we now take that money and put it towards healthcare. Even if it does come with a slight tax increase for me, I'd be okay with that because then I'm not feeling like my money's being wasted as much and it's being used for good, while not actually losing or decreasing my own personal health care.
Okay. So it's a valid point. And, people, you'd be dismissed by them. They would be like, no.
Oh, yeah, I'd be evil. I'm a Nazi already, because I want to have something that's private to me for my own benefits.
But Cenk said something. he kept talking about, we're going to save 68,000 people. We're going to save their lives by doing Medicare for all. And he said that as if making healthcare available to millions more people through other plans, through like Biden's plan, for example, wouldn't save human lives. Of course it would.
It's a complete misconception. Just because you have health insurance doesn't mean you get medical treatment. Doctors, like I've had doctors, even though I have good health insurance, decline me. Like, and say that they can't do it, or they were unwilling to do it, or they have too much patience, and then you got to go looking around, bouncing from doctor to doctor to find doctors that are capable of helping you, and so on and so forth. And then, there's no guarantee that you get health care just because you have health insurance, rather it be Medicare or private insurance. It's just a factual thing.
Oh my God. I'm seeing some Twitter action here. Great night for hashtag single digit jank. He'll have plenty of fodder for his show tomorrow.
That's a great nickname.
Yeah. About how the establishment pushed him out of the race. Nope, we did, the voters. Don't let the door hit you on the way out. Hashtag CA25. Don't know this, but the other grifter, Cenk Uygur, sucking almost as badly as Coffee Boy. I don't know what that is. That's some insider shit. Wow, people are really letting him have it on this timeline here.
Odds are because he has a verified account. I think if you have a verified account, you can make it the way you just don't see anything from non-verified accounts. So he'll never see that criticism. He'll never have to face that.
Yeah, that's a fair point. So listen to this. When he loses, and I'm going to wait. I'm going to stay up for one more update on these numbers because they have to update at some point. I mean, come on, guys, it's election night. But after a loss like this, it will be stunning to watch him. Oh, we have an update.
We updated.
We have an update. This is true. I'm not lying to you. Oh God, so nervous. Here, I'll post it in the chat. Hold on, I'll post it.
He's not lying because I said it was updated before he did.
But these monkeys, they're not updating the percentage reporting. It still says the same percentage, which is kind of a big deal. Okay, so there's several thousand more votes that have been come in, and still in the lead, extending her lead to 33% of the vote is Christy Smith, 19,000 votes. Cenk Uygur hasn't breached 3,000. He's at 4.92. Still waiting for the antelope vote to come in. Mike Garcia, moving back into the pack. Steve Knight gaining a little bit. Everyone else, total afterthought. It's an absolute crushing defeat. I wonder how much, not just me, obviously I was the main reason he lost, but how much did the smears factor into this? Do you think people caught wind of his bestiality, caught wind of his misogynistic remarks, all that stuff? I wonder. I mean, this is brutal. I don't think he's going to speak again tonight, though. I think he's had enough. Because that first interview did not go well. That was not pretty to look at. And I got to say, it is a little bit maddening that there will be no growth. There will be no reflection. I just don't know how he's going to deal with the cognitive dissonance. I'm the best. My ideas are the best. I know how to be a politician. It's Jank 2020. No. We say no. We're just like the girls from your high school, from your college. No. The answer is no. Get out. What will he say about Christy Smith? He's going to sour grape the whole situation and be like, fucking Christy Smith is shit. The voters are shit. The purple district. I mean, I don't know. He's just going to deny to the end of time. I mean, even now, does he have to admit that it's over? 58,000 votes are in. And Christy Smith's running away with this. Endorsements matter, I guess. Maybe it was that we should have known back when Bernie pulled his endorsement. We should have thought, oh, yeah, that's not a good sign.
Consumer with no fees to trade individual stocks. Doe is
right, so it's more commercials. They're trying to get more money. So that's the next battle: is can TYT stay afloat? Okay, it is 3 a.m. here in Rio de Janeiro. I'm going to call an end to Cenk's political career. Thank you for hanging out. There might be great compilations tomorrow. Keep an eye out. Even if your person is not going to win this, there's still joy to be milked from this, to suck out of this, because in the end, we are not in control. We're in control of minor things in our personal life. These are large-scale things that we're just watching. We're just two ships in the night, and we have to enjoy our time here. And that is why I will be making more videos for your pleasure. I've recorded audio today and edited it, and it might be a little racy for my main channel, so I'm going to put it on this channel. Stay tuned for that. I might do a sort of eulogy for Keek's career. I'm interested to see what he posts on his Facebook page, because he might do a sort of um, defeated speech and wrap things up. But you guys are awesome. I wish you nothing but the best. Be safe. Wear a mask. Coronavirus is a real deal, and it's kind of frightening. So, yeah, talk to you later.